Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. You know what time it is. Update time once again in MCOC, and I am back with everything that you need to know about the October 2024 update to the contest. Let's jump right in, starting off with number one, the new champions for October, which are Scream, Jack-O-Lantern, and as a bonus, Deathless She-Hulk is also being added to the game with next month's update. Now, Scream is going to be a cosmic champ. She's going to play and feel similarly to the other symbiote champs in the game. The animations look great. She has a couple of really neat twists to her kit that I think you'll like. Now, the designer of Scream is a huge symbiote fan, so a lot of care, a lot of love being put into her, and I think you're going to really like how she turned out. Jack-O-Lantern is the other newer champ for next month. It's a tech champ. I don't really know much about this character's history. He does have a lot of things in his kit that I think players are going to find very useful in countering a particularly tricky defender or two. Can't really say much more than that, but definitely check out the deep dives for Jack and for Scream. I almost said Carnage. For Scream, which should be out, I'm thinking, this coming weekend at time of this recording, or even when this video is going live. Now, as I said a moment ago, Deathless She-Hulk, or D-Gen as we call her in SSX, is also being added to the game files starting in October. She will not be available to own in October, but the kit, the abilities will be there for you to see. Now, if you followed me or if you followed this channel for a while, you know I am one of the biggest Deathless King Groot fans that exist in MCOC right now. So having said that, believe me when I say that I think that Deathless She-Hulk will be the strongest Deathless champ by quite a bit. But so I'll leave you to kind of think about that as you will, and make your own conclusions once you see her abilities in the game when the patch drops. All right, number two, the Alliance War Showcase is returning for October, this time featuring the House of Mirrors tactic, which was the tactic for us in seasons 50 and 51, if memory serves. Now, they've done a couple of these showcases already, so if you've participated in either one of them, you'll have a good idea of what to expect. There should be two different paths, an assortment of tactic and non-tactic defenders, some meta placements depending on what the popular placements were for that season. These showcases are a really good way for you to get a taste of what like high-tier war is like if you don't play a lot of war. Now, the House of Mirrors tactic gives defenders a chance to evade an auto block, and then there is a matching attacker tactic called Clarity that gives you clarity charges that counter evade and auto block by gaining buffs and also by increasing your combo count. Now, as far as defenders, I would bet a lot of money that you're going to see a Quicksilver boss. He was a meta boss placement for us in most wars, I would say, during this tactic. Beyond that, there are a few pretty painful placements that I can recall those two seasons. There was a Shocker on the Vigilance mini, was really rough. That's the first one that comes to mind, but I'm sure that I'm missing a few others. Now, if you're looking to get a head start on attackers to rank up for this showcase, you're going to want to look at Null. Null is incredibly powerful for this tactic. We assigned Null quite a bit during those two seasons. Falcon also, Falcon turns off the auto block, he turns off the evade, really, really strong champ. Other than that, Mole Man, who was blacklisted for I think one or maybe both seasons, also really, really strong champion for this. And then Venom, especially if you want to bring along the Scorpion synergy. Venom is really, really good for this tactic as well. For me personally, I used a lot of Deathless King Groot. I used a lot of Black Cat, some Chioth mixed in. But yeah, any of those champions will probably serve you pretty well for this showcase. All right, number three, we have Deadpool's Ultimate Multiplayer Bonanza Alliance Super Season, which is an acronym for something that I won't say because we like to keep this channel family friendly, but I'm sure you're smart enough to figure it out on your own. Now, this looks to be a collection of solo and alliance objectives that are just going to reward you for probably doing what you're already doing, playing alliance modes like AQ, raids, alliance war, and they're adding in, it looks like, incursions and battlegrounds as well. So if you're in an alliance and an active alliance at that, you're probably just going to keep doing what you're doing and you'll get all of these rewards. If you're not in an alliance or in one that isn't really active, you might want to think about changing that, moving up into an active alliance. No word here on what the rewards are going to look like, but it's worth it to join an active alliance even for the month, just to get easy access to those rewards. Okay, number 4 is something called the Glorious Guardian Reworks, and there is a lot to unpack here. So let's start off with the name Glorious Guardian. So if you remember from last year's Banquet event, there was a pool of 6 champions called the Gifted Guardians. These were newly available 7-star champions exclusive to that pool. So it seems like for this year's Banquet event, they're looking to keep that theme up, and this year's pool is going to be titled The Glorious Guardians. Now, the other thing I want to point out here is this first sentence, which says the first 2 out of 6 total Glorious Guardian reworks are here, with more to come. And this heavily implies, if not outright states, that not only are the champions in this pool going to be newly available 7 stars, all 6 of them are going to be reworked or buffed champions, which is really, really exciting. There have been a lot of really spicy buffs this year, and to get 6 of them at once during this Banquet event is very, very cool. I'm looking forward to it. So as listed here, the first 2 announced reworks are Medusa and Purgatory. Now, if this Guardian pool looks like it did last year, there will be 1 champion per class. So we've got a Cosmic representative and a Mystic representative announced here. So let's start off with Medusa, and I would be remiss if I didn't begin with a huge shout out to my friend Kat Murdoch, who is undoubtedly about to be living her absolute best life because her favorite champ is getting buffed, and not only that, buffed Medusa, folks, is a cornucopia of damage. Hits like an absolute freight train. Now, I'm not going to go into the buff details for Medusa or Purgatory in detail. You can check out all of that information on the official site, which should be updated at or around the time this video is live. But the basic idea is that they've consolidated all of Medusa's good synergies into her base kit. So her first 3 Furies are indefinite, and they stack up to 6 now in the base kit, which means that she's going to have near permanent uptime of her auto block mechanic, which makes her a much more threatening defender, especially in a mode like War or Battlegrounds. This immediately makes her more viable as an attacker too, because more Furies means more damage. I think the damage ceiling is a little bit lower than she did have with the synergies, but the floor is also much higher too, so it's a more consistent amount of damage for the entire fight. The other thing that I wanted to point out with Medusa is that she now gains a true accuracy buff via her signature ability, up to 35 seconds when the opponent is armor shattered. So somebody like Red Skull, for example, this is going to be really good for them. It'll also allow her to take some pesky evade champs as well. And then the last Glorious Guardian rework announced for October is Purgatory. Purgatory also a much improved champion with this buff compared to what she is currently. Now, the biggest change with Purgatory is that her crossfight class soul abilities are now going to last for the rest of the quest instead of just the next 2 fights. And this was probably my biggest complaint in using Purgatory in questing, is that the order of the fights on the path really limited her ability to reach her ceiling. But now going forward, you capture a class soul, it's there for the rest of the path. So if you're lucky enough, you come across a path with 5 out of the 6 classes present, because she doesn't work against science champs, you get all 5 of those class soul abilities available to you at the end of the quest for the boss, which is really cool. Now, they've also reworked all of her class soul abilities. I'm not going to go through them in any detail. They've increased her damage output during Demonic Rampage. They've made it easier to stay in Demonic Rampage because it's going to be paused during all special attacks and not just hers. Yeah, just all around, much improved champion. Big shout out to longtime friend of the channel, Undermother, the biggest Purgatory fan I think I know. I wish I could see their face when they find out about this buff. I've been kind of teasing Under lately that it might be time to come back to the game, and I suspect this is going to do it. So hope you enjoy this buff, Under. Last, but certainly not least, is this month's list of bug fixes and improvements. I will go through 3 of these. You can pause the video and look through them yourself if you want. The first thing I want to cover is this one here. Fixed an issue where Bullseye wasn't being as ruthless as intended and was turning off his guaranteed critical hits against an opponent that was trying to well-timed block mid-combo. I'm pretty sure FinTech found this issue. So what happens is, if you are actively getting hit by Bullseye and you were to tap the block input, So you were trying to essentially parry, but like there was no blocking or parrying happening because you were getting hit. It would actually turn off his G crits and you would take less damage. So they are fixing that. I don't know how many people actually thought of doing this, but it won't work going forward. So hopefully you weren't relying on it. Number 2 is this one here. Fixed an issue with the use ISO from stash feature, not getting enough ISO to sufficiently level up your champion. This was something that I reported, just a minor annoyance, I think. The use ISO from stash feature is really nice, but like you click the button and it was like selecting like a bunch, but then like it would only use like 25 or so, so you'd have to like click that button multiple times. So going forward, you only have to click it once. So just, a minor quality of life improvement. And then the third and final one I want to talk about here is this one. Fixed a major issue with how the game was processing removals due to Purify and Cleanse, which will fix nearly a dozen different bugs with champions such as Dust, Bishop, Jubilee, and Zemo. So I'm not sure about the details of this one, but an issue that's going to fix nearly a dozen different bugs is a huge win. So big shout out to the dev team for finding and fixing that one. Folks, that's going to do it for another patch notes video. Let me know in the comments below what you are most excited about coming to the game in October. I think for me, it's a toss-up between Scream and the Alliance War Showcase. Scream just looks so cool. Love the character. Can't wait to get my hands on her and test her for a bit. And then the Alliance War Showcase is a lot of fun. For me, as somebody who plays in Tier 1 War, it's kind of like, a little bit of a trip down memory lane. Maybe some trauma in there too, because some of those fights are really, really annoying. But either way, I'm going to look forward to it. So let me know if you enjoyed this video by hitting like. And as always, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next time.